We're now at a point where there are dependencies for each new project, and you have to set up those dependencies whenever you import a project into Eclipse. This exercise is all about adding code to the application to check for the Google Play Services APK. But first, I'll show you the steps that you need to follow for each project that you import. In Eclipse, I'll go to the import process. I'll choose General, Existing Projects into Workspace, and Archive File, and I'll click Browse. I'll be using this project, Check for APK. I'll click Open and complete the import process. The first thing you need to do is to check for any errors. And the most common issue that you might see is that classes like Google Map that are a part of the Google Play Services library aren't available. If that happens to you after you import a project, relink the Google Play Services library. Go to the project and go to its properties. Then go to Android, Google Play Services library. If you see an X there, remove the library and then re-add it. And you might have to do this depending on the setup of your computer's file system. After you relink the library, it should all be fine. Second, as I mentioned earlier, you'll need to add your API key, the one you generated in an earlier exercise that's unique to your development computer. Go to the place where you stored the API key. I placed it in my Assets folder, in this text file. Select and copy the API key. Then go back to Eclipse, go to the manifest, go to the bottom of the file, and look for the notation that I've added. Add your API key, and paste it in. Again, you'll need to follow the steps for each new project. It's unavoidable because of the dependencies of the Google Maps API. Now I'm ready to add code to check for the Google Play Services APK on the hosting device. Only devices that support Google Play can use Google Maps. So you can't run these applications on Kindle Fires or Nooks, at least without rooting them and doing other developer-style surgery. And so you want to add code to every application that's going to run Google Maps that checks the device and then takes some intelligent actions to help the user correct issues that might come up. I'll go to the main activity class in this project, and I'll place the cursor after the existing methods and create a new method that I'll call Services OK. I'm going to make it public because I want to be able to call it from anywhere in the application. And I'll have it return a value of Boolean, and the name will be Services OK. Within this method, I'm going to call a static method of a class called Google Play Services Util. The name of the method is Google Play Services Available, and it'll return an integer value. So I'll declare a variable named isAvailable, data typed as int, and I'll call Google Play Services Util. I'll start off with Google Play and press Control Space and choose the util class. Then after a dot, I'll call isGoogle Play Services Available, and I'll pass in this as the context. I'll go back and correct my method name. It should just be called Services OK. And now I'm ready to evaluate the variable. I'm going to compare the value of isAvailable to some constants of a class called ConnectionResult. That code looks like this. If isAvailable, and I'll match it up with ConnectionResult. After I type the name of the class, I'll press Control Space, and that adds it to my imports. And then I'll compare that to a value of success. So if I get a value matching success, that means Google Play Services APK is installed and it's all good. I can continue and display a map. So in that case, I'll return true. But if I get any other value, I need to evaluate it and determine whether it's something that the user might be able to correct. And you can find that out by calling a method called isUserRecoverableError. So here I'll add an else if clause, and I'll call Google Play Services Util, and then isUserRecoverableError, and I'll pass in isAvailable. There are a number of different values that might come back, but you don't have to worry about it. all you need to do is take that error value and pass it into a method of the utility class called getErrorDialog. It'll return an instance of the Android Dialog class. So I'll declare an instance of that class and call Google Play Services util.getErrorDialog, and I'll pass in 3 values. First, the error code, is available. Next, the activity, this. And finally, a request code. This can be anything, but typically is a constant that you can refer to later. So I'm going to create a constant called GPS_errorDialog_request. After I type in the constant value, I'll add the semicolon to complete the statement, then press Ctrl+1 and choose the quick fix to create the constant. Because I added that constant in a position where an integer would go, it's created as an integer up here. And I'll follow a pattern that I typically follow, which is to start the arbitrary numbering of my integer constants with 9001. This can really be any value you want, but you need to fill it in. So that creates the dialog, and I need to make sure that I've added an import statement for the dialog class, and then I'll show the dialog to the user. Again, the presentation of the dialog, or its specific look and feel, is up to Google Play Services, not you. It'll examine the isAvailable value and determine what message needs to be shown to the user. And if, for example, the user has an old version of the Google Play Services APK, they'll see a dialog that points them to the Google Play Store and walks them through the process of upgrading. Finally, I'll handle the condition where there was an error, but it's not recoverable by the user. And in this case, I'll simply show the user an error message. I'll use the toast class. I'll call toast.makeText, and I'll pass in this as the context, a string of can't connect to Google Play Services, and a duration of toast.lengthShort. And after that, I'll call the show method. Now, if isAvailable matched success, I returned true. In either of the other conditions, I have some trouble, so I'll return false. And that's my Services OK method. It's checking to see whether Google Play Services APK is installed on the hosting device and letting the rest of the application know the current status, and also showing the user what they need to see. Now, I'll go up to the top of the application to the onCreate method, and I'll make a bit of space before I call setContentView. And I'll call ifServiceisOK, and for now, I'll leave that code blank. My concern right now is just that I'm actually calling the method. And I'm ready to test on my device. I'll check my device status and make sure it's ready. Then I'll go back to Eclipse, and I'll run the application. As the application comes up, nothing happens. So I'll go back to the code, and I'll make a copy of that toast command that I used here. I'll select this whole line, copy it, go back to my onCreate method, and paste it in. And this time, I'll output the string, ready to map. I'll run the application again, and as the application starts up, it calls the ServicesOK method, gets back a value of true, and lets the user know that it's ready to use Google Play Services. So now, finally, we're ready to display a map, and I'll show you the simplest possible way in the next movie.